This live stream is presented to you by MaxspeedTV. All live streaming content that is presented in this telecast is owned by MaxspeedTV, Rudy Cummings, and the entire crew of MSTV. This may not be rebroadcasted, retransmitted, and retelevised without written consent. Please enjoy today's broadcast.
Don't count out Casey Drake in that 87. He's right.
One more lap to go here at Indy. He ran him all the way from 3 seconds back. 2 laps to go. Oh, Matthew gets done. Oh, Matthew gets the apron around the Drexler. He spins right from the back. Huge wreck. The 2 flies up in the air. It's 3 wide. Oh, what a move by Derek. He wants to go.
Tries to send him up the hill, but can't quite do it.
Not between the two is 2 car lengths. Too little too late for Derek and Smith. Oh, clapping gets third! Clapping gets third! Oh my gosh! Side by side! 3-1 at the wire!
We welcome everybody here live for tonight's main event for the iSCAR KBRN Street Stock Tour. And with 2 races remaining here at the Bristol Motor Speedway, tensions are high for that championship. But for Hunter Johnson, it might be a breeze for him, honestly, as we get ourselves set for this 94-lap event here for tonight. My name is Icky Reyes.
I'm Dewey Schramm.
And I'm Kenneth Bueno.
We are live here on MaxspeedTV, getting set to go green here in just a moment. Currently about 3 minutes and 49 seconds remaining in this practice. We'll pull up the standings here on the left-hand side of the screen, but I just mentioned his name, Hunter Johnson, and that number, I think he's in his number 12. Not really sure. It might be in a number 30, but he is your points leader coming in for tonight. We'll pull up point standings right here, and he has a huge one.
Yeah, and of course, we mentioned last week, Hunter did not show up last week at Eldora, and he still has a 25-point lead, which goes to show you how much of a lead he had going into last week. Of course, he opted to watch the NASCAR All-Star race that was held at Bristol last week, of course, where we are tonight. So he still has a 25-point lead with 2 races remaining, and of course, looks like there's about 26 or so people in the session tonight, so the most amount of points you could probably get is around 27 or 28, including bonus points. So in all likelihood, he'll still have the points lead after tonight's race, but with how good he's run all season, I expect that lead to be around where it is, if not more, after tonight's race.
Yeah, Dewey, you mentioned it. Hunter Johnson did not attend Eldora last week, and that really allowed some of the drivers that are even further down the board. You see Sartaj in second, and of course the drivers behind him, they had a little bit of an opportunity to gain on the points leader. I mean, it was a really big gap out of before Eldora started, but then now, since Eldora has pretty much happened and already the winner claimed, everybody finished where they finished. 25 points, still a large gap, but it's clearly not impossible. But I think that Hunter Johnson has that comfortability. I think he's pretty confident in his ability to manage these street stocks, as we've seen him win pretty much almost all the races this season, apart from last week. So I think it's going to be interesting to see. I know Hunter Johnson is in this field tonight, so we'll expect to see him at the top of the board, but he's got some good competition going into tonight.
I think it was a bit of a missed opportunity for Sartaj especially, though. Of course, we only had 20 people at Eldora last week, so there weren't as many points on the line as there are most weeks, and Sartaj only finished 13th out of those 20 cars, so he had an opportunity to gain quite a few more points than he did, but unfortunately had some early troubles in the going last week, and that really set him back. And I think looking at the point standings overall, I think only down to Michael Bianchini in 4th place has a realistic chance of catching that number 12.
Kenneth mentioned about gaps. He said a 25-point gap between Hunter, who just took the top spot in practice, versus Sertaj. But look at the gap from second on down. 98 points, 94, 93. We go for a bigger gap, 93 to 78. But one back is Kiloa with 77, Matthew Klein with 71, Liam Sheen 63, 61, 60. The fight for second in championship standings is still up for grabs. Sertaj only 4 ahead of where Andy McDowell is, and 5 ahead where Bianchini is as well. So you mentioned about capitalizing on last week with Hunter Johnson being out. Hopefully they capitalize on more positions. They got to get through those other people to get themselves to that top spot.
Yeah, Andy got a top 5 last week at Eldora, of course, finished exactly in 5th, and Bianchini finished in 11th. So definitely Andy got the best of those 3 in terms of points. So Andy definitely has a shot to walk out of here with second in points. But again, it's going to be a real challenge for anybody or any of those top 4 to catch Hunter Johnson, who looks like will round out practice as the fastest. It looks like Brody Gardner and Brandon Wilkinson are the top 3 here in practice. We'll scoot ourselves off to the side here. We'll be right back with qualifying and the main event. But first, we have the national anthem. So rise up, remove your hats as we salute our nation's colors.
Welcome here back live for the iSCAR KBRN Street Stock Tour. Currently on round number 5 out of 6, and coming down to closing time. And speaking of closing time, qualifying is currently at 1 minute and 40 as of right now. Drivers just taking laps around this 5.33 mile racetrack.
I think you meant 0.533 mile track. I was gonna say that's like a Nürburgring type track, but no, this is the world's fastest half mile, of course, as Bristol is well known for being, and yeah, it looks like ATVO has done a thing. So we'll get that fixed as quickly as possible, but looks like got about a minute left here in qualifying. And the leaderboard is somewhere. It will reappear. Don't worry.
Yeah, ATV just froze. Sucks. Happens all the time, fortunately.
As we have a beautiful view here of the start-finish line.
Oh, yep, yeah, hold up.
Well, now we don't.
Yeah, now we don't. So, there we go.
All right. So the order will scroll here at the top of your screen. The input title 100 here at Bristol.
Had to change it.
Looks like we're going to have around 28 people in the session tonight. And as qualifying will wrap itself up here, yet again, your pole winner is none other than the 12 of Hunter Johnson. So congratulations once again for him winning the pole. He's done that a lot. He's going to do it again here tonight. That's at least the 4th or 5th time he's led practice and won the pole across the summer series. So this dude, on top of being fast during the race, is also really fast before the race. And now we will display the starting lineup here for tonight's Street Stock event at Bristol.
Row number 1 going to be Hunter Johnson in first place with a 6.460. Dylan Basin right alongside of him at 08. Be starting in second place.
And in row number 2, we've got the 83 of Joe Burgee with a nice run for him into his outside Alex K. Gretz in the 017.
Row number 3 will be the 56 of Brandon Wilkinson making his first start in this series here tonight with a 16.665 starting inside the top 5. He starts right alongside the 49 of Sartaj.
Number 4 going to be consisted of Brody Garner and Kevin White Jr. with a nice starting position, like in 8th place.
And rounding out your top 10 will be the 58 of Dominic Howe and the 95 of Ibrahim Dejani. A really nice run for him as well. Rest of the order will be shown on the bottom of your screen. Pick your favorite driver, hope they win or do pretty good or something like that. Good to see Dan Neese make a Street Stock start. He usually just does IndyCar here, but good to see a new name here in the Street Stock series. Of course, you mentioned Brandon Wilkinson, a noted short track racer around iRacing, and he's always done really good when he comes into iSCAR, and I'm expecting no different out of him here tonight.
And as we were looking through that starting grid, one of the things that really interested me was Michael Bianchini all the way back in the field. I believe just that's outside of the top 20. During this season, he was pretty much one of the drivers that we thought was going to put up the fight to Hunter Johnson. Currently 4th in points, so still, of course, a lot to gain in these coming weeks, of course, tonight and next week in the finale at Charlotte. But interesting to see him starting so far behind. I'm not sure whether maybe Bristol might not be his suitable track, but hopefully he can get some ground early on in this race and try to put up a fight for this race lead.
That's right, Bianchi. Heck, I don't even know if you set down a qualifying time. That number 8. Yeah, he's going to use pit start as well, so for Bianchini, running a roadblock scheme, it's going to be a while to get himself back through the field. And he's the last car on that second pit road. Interesting about Bristol.
Someone else just actually popped in right behind him,
that's
but
right. They're
he's
going to have
be
a long way
here
around because this is one pit road.
He might lose a lap, honestly.
Yeah,
This
that's
might
right.
cost him maybe even 2 laps by pit road starting. So I don't know if this is a strategy call or what, but definitely one I would not recommend at a track like Bristol. So he's going to have his work cut out for him here, and the green flag hasn't even dropped yet.
Speaking of the green flag, it's about to happen here for tonight. Glad you could join us in here on MaxspeedTV Live for round number 5 out of 6. Hunter Johnson in that number 12. Dylan Basin in the 08 will lead the field.
Green's out. Green flag. Green flag.
Tonight. Green flag is out. And we're up and away here at Bristol.
Man, these cars look like tanks when they go into turn 1. Usually they look a lot faster when they start getting going, but we've got some
yellow.
Here comes the 56 of Wilkinson making it 3 wide, and we do have a caution in the back, and there are multiple cars wadded up here going into turn 3. That's the 6 of Max Urich already with some early trouble, and we will see what brought this lap 1 caution out.
Looks like, it happened right in front of the number 6, but he ended up spinning it out. Came to a halt. You see Christopher Gill just in there on that high side as well. See the 70 of Harry Grindle. Looks like the 89 of Mitch Hobbs had a bit of an issue off of turn number 2, and there, big net code between, looks like the 7 of Charlie Byer and the 89. Good job for everybody to avoid that sitting car, especially in the middle of the track like that. And McDowell in that number 20 just sneaking by on the high side, but Hunter Johnson had a bit of a problem there on that start, and he fell back to second, so Dylan Basin going to be your new leader.
That's a good break for Bianchini as well after pit starting. And Nick Miller, by the way, was the other car that popped onto pit road behind him. So if Bianchini gets on track, I think Nick's going to get the free pass here. But if we have another early yellow, he will get the free pass next time around. So again, a good break for him. So I guess if his strategy was to start in the back, now he has a lot less work to do than he otherwise would have.
What I noticed off of that corner, especially in the first 2 corners before the yellow flag came out, I saw Dylan Basin take advantage to the high groove as opposed to Hunter Johnson, who was all the way near the apron. That was an interesting thing to see. I was expecting Hunter Johnson to stay bottom, keep it, and pretty much clear the rest of the field from there, stay in front of the field, obviously before the yellow was triggered by Mitch Hobbs there. But Dylan Basin used the high line to his advantage. I saw a couple guys shuffling using that high line as well, so interesting strategy early on. Not sure if that's something to watch for as the night progresses, but we'll just have to see.
That's alright. In top 5, Dylan Basin, Hunter Johnson, KBRN. Haven't really talked about him in that 017. Hasn't shown up to a lot of races, but he's showing his face here tonight. Started himself in 4th, is currently in 4th place. So for Gretz, he's only been in victory lane once. It happened in the late models at Irwindale. Here he is, a short track kind of guy. That 017 is going to be starting himself in 4th, and we'll see out that outside line. We'll get a pull. He's going to be the first one to be side by side off of that second corner, unless Bergen can clear coming into 1 if Basin gets a good restart. Usually the higher side on starts preferred around here due to the momentum that gets carried up on that higher side, but we'll have to see on how it'll work on the street cars, because these of course are slower machines, not like a NASCAR vehicle in which they're going. It looks like upwards of 130 to turn number 1. I think I'm over exaggerating that, but
not by much. I think the top speeds, for Cup cars are probably around the high 120s to low 30s, and I'm sure you can go almost full throttle here, of course. A lap time of around 16.4 for the pole sitter Hunter Johnson, and the Cup cars at Bristol can hit laps, I think, around the high 14s. So definitely, even though a full throttle racetrack, still a slower car overall, and that does change the driving style for these guys as they race, because of course, even though this is a track I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with, the cars of course drive much differently than cars they might run an official.
Scoots himself on the pit road. Dylan Basin will pick the high side, but he does not go. And Hunter Johnson passes the 08 of Basin. We will see if Benjamin, the admin, will clear that. But Basin did not get going, and Hunter took the bait, and he moved himself into 1st. But we'll see if that's going to be a black flag or not.
That put Joe Burgee up into 2nd. Look at him on that low side trying to make a move, but Basin's got the outside working for him. Of course, just did
Get a
not
wreck!
get going.
Yellow
Started
flag
to
is
hold
out.
Charlie Byer with a huge hit, and somebody just clobbered the inside wall. There is at least 8 or 9 cars all wadded up in turn number 1, and Max Yerrick involved once again, and somebody went upside down.
Looks to be Matthew Klein there. I think might have gone up and over on 4 wheels. Once again, you see Charlie Byer with the hard damage. We'll try to take a look and see exactly what went down there, but that seemed to be a huge wreck between all those drivers there. It might have been the big one we saw here at Bristol. We'll take a replay, see exactly what was the cause of this issue. We saw guys piling up in front. There's a 62 involved, the 26 also in there. Max Yerrick had to stop. Mitch Hobbs was there as well. James Youngman in the picture. Andy McDowell also in there as well. Try to take a better look, see exactly what went down. I think it might have started right here, and it does.
I think that's Nick Roten in the 26. Just got loose, and he really hit that inside wall hard. So 2 teammates there, the 26 and the 62 of Peter Kenny. Actually, 3 teammates. So Supreme iRenting not having a good night so far, as 3 of their cars end up in this wreck. And Matthew Klein, I think, looks like he did the street stock glitch we've seen multiple times this season. So a tough break for that 11. Looks like Kyler Wynn has lost a lap as well. I'm not sure if that's from this or if it happened somewhere else. But yikes.
Honestly, really weird how Nick Roten's car was sort of jotting in and out. I don't know if he had some sort of issue, but I wouldn't say he got loose, honestly. Like, Nick was fairly slow in 3 and 4, and he was hugging middle rather than being in a well-established groove. And that number 26 was just... I really don't know how he purposely ran over 7, though, Charlie Byer. Byer had a full head of steam coming to that bottom, trying to slide himself back up, and Roten just ended up clipping it. Around they went. Very interesting wreck. I'll have to get a bit of updates on that and press on with this race. But as of right now, that number 12, Hunter Johnson, up front. Dylan Basin, 2nd place right now. The man took it up top from that last restart. It's going to be starting in 2nd. Did not get a good restart last time.
Yeah, and Hunter didn't get that good of a start on the initial start of the race as well, so perhaps some restart issues for the guys up front. Hopefully that doesn't turn into a big restart wreck somewhere, but of course this is Bristol, so it's entirely possible that could happen. But a guy I've been watching so far in this race, that 00 of Kevin White Jr., of course, he started himself in 8th, and look at him on the bottom, already up into 5th place, so he's had a pretty good night for himself here so far. Of course, still 83 laps to go here at Bristol, but definitely off to probably one of the best starts of the whole field.
Kenneth, you've been fairly quiet, and got anything else to go ahead and fill it on?
Well, I mean, I was gonna talk about the driver in 4th right now, Brandon Wilkinson, in the 56. I know he's notable because it's his first start in this series, like I mentioned when going over the starting grid. I've gotten word that he's a spotter for Casey Kerwin in the Coke Series, and he's also spotted for some drivers in real life on the real racing side of things. So he has a pretty good resume going into tonight. I was looking at him through these restarts and taking a bit of moves, and he's been trying to get that outside lane work. We'll see if that continues to be the trend as the green flag comes back out. Hunter Johnson with another early lead. Dylan Basin, Joe Berge fighting for 2nd.
The scramble there for 2nd place as Berge got a bit sideways, and it stalls out both of them. Still
Yellow,
side
yellow,
by
yellow.
side, and another yellow is going to come out again toward the back, and this time it's going to involve. Oh no, there's a wreck in 3.
Someone just ran into the back of Charlie Byer. I think that might have been Peter Kenny. And looks like Matthew Klein with more early race issues here, as we'll take a look. And they're going into turn 3 here. Oh, he just got the wall and lost it. And collected that gray and red
4.
car. That's Justin Johnson.
Oh, Justin was dead sideways before Klein even got to him. I don't know if Klein hit the wall trying to avoid the 4. But that was really weird. Oh, 26 of Roten went around in the back.
So there were multiple wrecks going on at the same time. Yeah, that was weird how Justin just almost snapped right around. There's climbing the wall. Oh, he probably got neck coated around.
Okay, it's into Justin Johnson there, and Nick Roden went by himself. We're going to take a look at that as well. I think it just might have been a wheel spin and the tires coming out of the corner. Looks to have been the case, and it is. I think he might have gotten a little bit of the apron there, kind of what unsettled the car. Got a little damage from the inside wall. But don't think that's going to be too much for the 26 to repair, but obviously in a hole after being involved in the first incident.
Yeah, apparently, I guess he might have a bit of a loose setup going. Of course, he lost it onto that last caution, so hopefully he can try and get that fixed here. But unfortunately, 2 early incidents for him, and you see he's already 3 laps down. And this caution, I believe, gave Kyler Wynn the free pass.
That's right. When E2 started on pit road, a late register for that 084 him. Peter Kenny's now. I thought he was. I thought he was a lap down, but I guess not. He's last on the lead lap. Michael Bianchini still floating around, the only car 1 lap down. So this next upcoming caution, he'll go ahead and whips himself around with that free pass, put himself back on the lead lap. He's the only car 1 lap down, unless this thing goes green, and I'm not expecting it to. Bianchini at number 48. Gotta be patient for right now, I guess.
I think we got to be a little more patient in the booth considering the amount of yellows we've had early. 94 laps here tonight, a very, very long race to hand, and I really wanted to look at this top battle a little bit more as you look at the race analytics on the bottom right corner of your screen. Again, 94 laps, 50 miles around this 0.533 mile Thunder Valley Oval. Of course, pit road speed, a slow, agonizingly slow 35 miles per hour. So we might see that over the course of this race. But I'm really intrigued to see how this battle has been forming between Hunter Johnson, Dylan Basin, Joe Berge. Now we see Kevin White Jr. in the picture. Brandon Wilkinson fell a little bit back there. You see Dominic Howe, who fell second to Dylan Alt last week at Eldora. I really wanted to see how these drivers are going to work around each other and how those lines are going to form and how they were really going to act around each other, but those yellows really haven't been able to allow us to see that. But into 3 and 4, pace car will loom off very, very soon. We're ready to get the green flag again, guys.
Yep, that's right. The 58 Dominic Howe has been in victory lane at this very racetrack. I think his last win came at this racetrack in the Street Stock Series.
Green, green, green.
Off the bottom corner, green flag is out. Colorful schemes of that number 12 in the 08 of Dylan Basin will lead into 1, and this time the whole front row gets a nice restart, but they're jamming up for 3rd place. Kevin White Jr. might have gotten doored.
Yeah, I think there was contact there between Kevin White and Brandon Wilkinson. As Wilkinson got really tight, and there goes Basin to the outside wall. That's going to drop him multiple spots here. Briefly 3 wide down the front stretch, so a tough break there for that 08, but plenty of time to make that ground up once again. That's going to put Wilkinson now up to 3rd, trying to get by that 83 of Joe Burge, who's had a really nice night so far in that 2nd spot.
Yeah, they're doing really good right now. Again, a personal best 2nd place in the just a couple of weeks ago. I believe last week he got his personal best finish in 2nd place in the Super Speedway race at Talladega. Again, a different series here tonight, but he's trying to ensure his luck once again, trying to go to the bottom side of the 12 of Hunter Johnson, currently making it work. He's going to have the 56 behind him.
Side by side for the lead.
Yellow
Berge
flag
to
is
the bottom
out.
of the track. Caution is out, and that'll hand the lead to him for the next 5 laps. And we're going to see what the cause of the caution looks like.
Oh, my
Peter
goodness.
Kenny is over the pit wall, and there was another car on his side.
So I think
Watch
that
out,
might be
guys.
the first car all season that's gone over the pit
What
wall.
the?
And the pace car. That's the pace car has also gone through the pit wall here.
What was
Wow.
that?
All right, so we'll get a replay of multiple different things here as the pace car has done a big funny on the backstretch. And we'll see how Peter Kenny ended up over the pit wall.
Honestly, that's not the first time we've seen cars fly over pit walls. And
Oh,
Andy
geez.
McDowell.
That's 3rd in points, Andy McDowell. And Peter
Wow.
There's so many
So-
unexplainable things right now.
there was definitely cars around before Peter Kenny got there, so Peter just Arca braked it. Then you see the pace car just go through the wall because we don't know what's going on anymore. All hell is broken loose here at Bristol, but of course there were things happening. See, Andy was one of the cars involved. I think the 80 of Youngman just lost it, and Andy got absolutely clobbered by Peter Kenny.
Had some help from
Max
Eric there.
Justin Johnson, Mitch Hobbs got right into the side of James Youngman, nowhere he could go. I think Justin Johnson scraped the wall here.
And
right here, Mitch nowhere to go.
Bam.
Bianchini does a nice job of slowing down to miss that. But Peter Kenny over the pit wall, Andy McDowell upside down, and the pace car is fine.
Yeah, Michael Bianchini had a good look at that right in front of him, seeing Andy McDowell go up and over, and then Peter Kenny doing a little skateboard move going over the wall. But yeah, that was very bizarre wreck, but I saw the 41 also get a piece of that as well. I don't think it's too much damage. You see the 48 of Michael Bianchini finally getting his wave around. He's going to be on the lead lap once we go back green flag racing. But 41 right here, between all the guys who have been involved in the incident there. The 41 got a little piece of that. Doesn't look to be any damage really to that 41, so he'll keep shooting. He'll keep racing on the racetrack, as I should say. But Joe Berge in the lead. How about that, guys?
Yeah, that's right. That number 83 of Joe Berge was putting some pressure on the most dominant car of this, I wouldn't say entire race, but this whole entire season. That number 12, Hunter Johnson. Seeing him just be so dominant week to week, and that was honestly the first time we've seen a completed pass around that number 12. Not only that, for that number 83 of Joe Berge for this upcoming restart, he's going to be, he has a lot of advantages being that leader, but that number 12, Hunter Johnson, he knows this track best. I know he runs official on this track a lot of times. And you know why? That number 83 of Joe Berge passing that number 12 of Hunter Johnson, and well, go ahead and restart them coming to the green.
And of course, Brandon Wilkinson in that third spot. He was giving Berge a run for that third spot before he got by Hunter. So I think right now it's a 3-car race between the 83, the 12, and the 56. Of course, plenty of laps go for that to change, but don't count out that 56 car either.
Cars in, and the green flag is on.
Green flag.
Looks like Hunter got a better restart than Berge, and Hunter will clear the turn number 1 to drive it down in front of that 83, so Berge has some time to make up as Gretz gets into the picture. Wilkinson falls back 2 spots as now Dominic Howe will fill up that mirror, that 017. Work the bottom side of 3 and 4 into the start-finish line. It looks like top 5 are all single file, but Wilkinson at number 56 lost a ton of ground. He's about to lose one more.
Yeah, I think that bad restart for Berge hurt Wilkinson as much as it hurt Joe. So both of them with a bit of work to do, but fortunately for Berge, he only lost 1 spot, but Wilkinson lost 2. So that 56 now back into 5th. But that 017 of Alex K. Gretz also with a really good night so far. See him battling there with Dominic Howe for the 3rd spot, making the outside work. A lot of guys look like they're staying mainly down on the bottom as we have 1 car, Brody Gardner, trying to make that high side work. We have a 3 wide here to 1.
Kevin White almost got put 3 wide by Dylan Basin there. Thought the better of it, did not make that happen. But Dominic Howe, you mentioned, right behind the 017 right now. Again, like I mentioned earlier under that yellow flag, Dominic Howe finished 2nd at Eldora last week. It was a heartbreaking loss to him because he felt like he could have been there at the end to fight for the race win with Dylan All, but couldn't get it done in those waning laps. But finally right now in 4th, he is hungry to get a race win. I think he might be looking for that right now. As you see the 83 of Joe Berge slowly getting to your race leader.
That's right, Berge has shut the gap down to looks like 0.18 now, and he's just going to have to find a way around that number 12, Hunter Johnson. He's nailed down to that bottom, have to pull the scoot and boot and get out of the way. Berge going to peek to the bottom side of the racetrack, might have contact for this lead, but Berge is not letting go of that number 12, Hunter Johnson. But they clear themselves for right now. Berge back to the low side. We'll see if he can take it into 3.
Berge's got, I think, the strongest car on the track so far. It's been, you know, it's not very often, of course. This is no slight on Joe Berge, but it's very rare that he's one of the best cars on the track. And right now, he definitely is. And again, like you mentioned a bit before, there haven't been that many people that have been able to give Hunter Johnson a run for their money in iSCAR race this season. We do have another caution out on the track, so Virgie will have to wait a few more laps to try and make another move on the 12, and we'll get a look at what happened, but I think it might have involved Wilkinson because he lost another couple spots, and indeed it did. Contact between him and Kevin White into turn 1, and I'm a bit surprised that was a caution.
It looks like...
I think he went for a hold that wasn't there.
That's right. Look at it again. Wilkinson... yeah.
That's hard to tell, but...
Yeah, the double zero. I don't know if he didn't realize that
he was there already.
Yeah, he was there already coming into 3. He came down and there was contact, but Wilkinson's driving, man. That number 56 easily straightened that out. Got himself going. I'm surprised that too was a caution. Wilkinson would definitely just carry on like nothing happened. Fortunately, it did. This will bring some drivers down on pit road. Pit road's open. Looks like back half the field coming in.
Yeah, these are the first pit stops of the race. I believe we're on 100% fuel for tonight, so it's not like this will be a fuel mileage race at any point, but 4 fresh tires cannot hurt at a track like Bristol, so a couple guys coming in for those. Michael Bianchini, one of them, who is a big opportunity here with Andy McDowell with all that damage, probably will gain a point spot over him. I believe those two came in tonight a point apart, so Bianchini should walk out of here at least third in points, if not second, depending on where Sartaj Mon rounds himself out.
Yeah, Andy McDowell already with a rough start to his race. You saw him go flipping with Peter Kenny and a couple of the other drivers there in that that last caution before this one was triggered by Brandon Wilkinson. But tough break for Andy McDowell. He's going to have a little work to do at Charlotte next weekend. I want to talk about how this is really the shortest track we see in this season. We've seen a handful of larger tracks. I know we went to Iowa, we went to Darlington, had our fair share of great drafting races there. I know we saw Dover as well, but this is really a test of the smallest track in the season. We really haven't seen a track this small, maybe a track that maybe requires a little bit more lifting than usual, and then you kind of have to work through the throttle rather than just pretty much staying full throttle all the way out. But we've seen how the draft has played to effect. We saw the top 4 really scrunch themselves together ever since the draft started to play a factor. We saw the 83 try to make moves on the 12 already and hasn't been successful on that front, but he's been getting very close. We saw the 017 also getting to the back bumper of the 83, the 58, pretty much a whole line all the way down to the bottom of the racetrack to the apron. And that's one of the more interesting things to watch is how these lines start to develop going all the way to the bottom. I think if you really want to get past the leader, you might have to either get the draft off the corner or try to make a bump and run, which we have seen so much here at Bristol.
That's right, and Bergie did it. I mean, sort of trying to do it to scoot Hunter to that top side, but I think it's more beneficial to pass on the high side since you have more momentum right up off that corner. So if Bergie does sneak the nose to the high side, he could stay side by side with Hunter in the apex of the corners. He'll definitely have that number 12 clear once he does. The straightaways, green flag back out. Bergie with a nice start. They go 1 and 2 to turn number 1.
Yeah, Hunter with the dominant bottom side, though, already back up to the lead. The bottom side definitely the preferred line to be on here tonight at Bristol. You see Gratz now filing himself down to third. These top 5 now are single file, but I'm sure Bergie will try and make a move at some point here. But he's got a bit of a challenge, though, because if he tries to make a move up on the high side, he might get left out to dry up there. It might get filed back a little bit. So I think Bergie's best option for now might just be to try to sit back behind that 12 for a little while and then maybe try a bump and run with about 30 to go.
Now we're seeing Brody Garner use that high line a little bit. He almost used it to his advantage, tried to make the crossover on the 58 of Dominic Howell, wasn't able to do so there. Now under pressure from Dylan Basin, but he was getting the runs off the corner. I was talking about how the lines were developing. Zeke, you mentioned how you can get more momentum using that high side coming off the exit of the corner. We're seeing Brody Garner start to implement that into this race as the 017 is hard into the outside wall. Might have had some help from Dominic Howell. Kevin White Jr. is involved in there as well, and a yellow flag with just about halfway through this race.
And that's going to kill both of their races, and that's really too bad because both of them had top 5 potential and were running in that top 5, but both of their nights end up upside down here, unfortunately. Is we just talked about Gretz up on that high side here into turn 1. I think he just came down on Dominic Howe and wasn't cleared to, and a huge overcorrection to the outside wall, and that car is junk.
Yeah, took out the 00 of Kevin White Jr. in the process. He was running up there top 10 as well. We talked about bump and runs. That's not a way to pull one. I'm pretty sure Dominic's intention wasn't to wreck that 017. They're both teammates, I know that. But Dominic, I think he shoved it in the corner, hence why he was a groove up. And he tried to shove it a bit harder than he wanted to, hence why he might have pushed up the corner, and Gretz thought he was more down there than anticipated. Fortunately, those two made contact. Gretz on the huge overcorrect you mentioned. And look at
Nice
those
job
two
by,
cars just fly. But watch the number 70, Harry Grindle.
Yeah, that's what I was going to mention. Talk about threading the needle. That is about as threading of a needle as you can possibly get. Right there.
Oh my gosh!
Whoa.
That's a pretty close call there for that 70. Really nice job by him to miss that, and might have just saved his own race. But again, what a tough break for both Gretz and Kevin White Jr. Again, both of them with top 5 speed, and that's going to shuffle this top 10 around a little bit. We saw Nick Miller earlier in this race. He pit started and was a lap down for a good portion of tonight. He's now up in the 9th spot, so a good job by that 28 of making up all of that ground. You see Ibrahim Dejani still holding tight around 9th and 10th place where he started, so that 95 also with a pretty solid night here so far.
And Sartaj is down to 6. Remember, he is second in the points coming into tonight behind the driver in the race lead, Hunter Johnson. So 49 of Sartaj, man, is trying to keep his own right now. And of course, obviously with the wreck that just occurred with the 017, you mentioned how it shakes up the order. Now Sartaj is within this the breach of the top 5, now into 6th place right now. Still has some pressure with Wilkinson, Hess, Miller, and now Dejani behind him through the top 10. But Sartaj, he needs a better run right now in order to bridge that gap between the 25 points he needs to get up to catch Hunter Johnson in the points lead. He's got a couple of drivers to get through though before doing so, and they have been very aggressive on their own terms as well.
That's right, and go ahead and take the one to go signal at Hunter Johnson at 12. Up front, Joe Berge, 2nd place, Dominic Howe in 3rd, Brody Garner doing a nice job of retaining a top 5 position, and Dylan Basin, the man who started himself up front alongside that number 12, is riled back in 5th place as of right now. 49, Taj Mahon is also there as well. As the pace car is going to go ahead and scoot itself on the pit road. The most dominant car of this race will lead it back to the green, but we'll see what Berge does this time. Shoot themselves
Green.
in green flag.
Yeah, Berge got a good, pretty decent start on the outside. He looks like he'll actually be able to file into 2nd place behind Dominic Howe. We do have one car coming off of pit lane. I think that's James Youngman, but he'll stay on the apron and out of harm's way. So looks like Brody will be the first car up on the high side here coming into turn number 1, and the 08 Dylan Basin might get by him now.
And Berge's done a... Oh my goodness, to that very loose.
Yellow.
Goes the 83. Dylan Basin involved.
Wreck. And Joe Berge's promising night. We say this all too often here in iSCAR. Joe Berge's promising night has ended like that. Once again, and that sucks.
Wow.
That one, of all the wrecks that Joe Berge's had where he had a chance to win a race, this one has got to be up there as one of the ones that hurts the most, because man, he had a blazing fast car here tonight. And I think he might have got neck coated off the rear bumper of Hunter and then got tapped by Dominic and got hit and did the glitch, and yeah.
Yeah, we'll see it again one more time, or a couple more times. Hunter, yeah, Berge had a lot of center speed, and they just started according Dominic Howe At number
Start-
58, just nowhere to
Landed
go.
on
He can't check
Sartaj.
out like that.
See right here, Sartaj Mon actually got Bergie landed on top of him right there, and he may have net coded through. He did clip Dylan Basin there, but we'll have to see how much damage that may have given the 49, who of course did come into tonight's race second in the standings. Here's the onboard Bianchini. Looks like he clipped that inside wall, and oh,
Sort of went
looks
under
like he
Bergie.
I think he net coded through that.
Right through.
Yeah, we'll have to get an onboard Sartaj because Bergie landed directly on top of him, and it looks like he may have escaped A-OK.
Alright, just give me 50 minutes on Raj is, and
He's
another
fourth.
50 minutes of rewinding on the replay because KTV was not really happy with that. But anyway, it's gonna take a while actually. There it is.
Yeah.
He hit Dylan. You heard
Oh.
the contact.
Yeah, it definitely could have been a lot worse considering he almost had a car land on top of him. So for Sartaj, definitely a dodged bullet there because with a car landing like over you like that, I'm sure he probably would have thought his race was definitely over. But that wreck did gain him valuable track positions. So with Hunter still up towards the front, Sartaj needs to gain as many spots as he possibly can because at this point, rather than trying to beat him for the win and seeing how many spots he can finish ahead of Hunter, I think at this point Sartaj needs to go into damage control and make sure he finishes as close to Hunter as possible so he can try and stay within a reasonable gap for the finale next week.
Yeah, taking a little in-depth look at what happened in the incident. I was looking at that incident a little more during the replay, and Joe Bergie definitely had the speed through the center of the corner, especially through the exit, but I believe he was just getting so close to the 12 he didn't want to make any contact to send him around or maybe get him into a very dangerous situation to possibly be involved in a wreck, and he probably didn't want that to happen. So of course he had to check up, and then by that time, checking up at a track like this with so many drivers in the draft, it really affects your speed, and of course everyone freight trains behind you. Dominic Howe pretty much nowhere to go after that one, not enough time to react, and got into him. Unfortunate end to Joe Bergie's night, but Brandon Wilkinson was in this top 10, fell back a little bit. Now with this wreck, he is starting on the outside of row 1. As he take the green flag once more, Hunter Johnson goes back down the racetrack. Early lead for the 12. Brody Garner is going to try to look under for second now.
Yeah, well, in that big wreck we just had, Wilkinson and Sartaj Mon definitely the two biggest winners of that as they both gained a lot of track positions. That 56, who we saw have problems and ended up bringing up that earlier caution, now back up into that third spot, battling side by side with Nick Miller in the 28, who again was a lap down at the beginning of this race after pit road starting. Now he's up in the top 5. So that 28 car definitely is having one of the best nights so far. We do have a battle for the lead here. Brody Gardner trying to make that outside work to try and get by that 12, but goes a bit too high there into turn 1, but he might try a crossover here.
Yep, to the low
There he
side
goes.
Brody. Nice move
Nice
for Brody
move.
to get a run. Using that high side to his advantage, if he goes side by side, 4 cars under a blanket as we head themselves into 1, and under pressure yet again is the 12 of Hunter Johnson.
Oh, car on the wall.
We might have a wreck. There goes the O2.
Oh, there
Yellow,
goes
yellow,
the O2 of Josh Patterson, I believe that was.
And I'm not sure who
And
got the
there is
lead.
the caution. And it looks like Hunter barely holds on to the race lead, and that indeed is Josh Patterson with the spin. So we'll see how that happens. Looks like the next turn, probably. Yeah, right there, Dominic got a bit tight and got, I think that was Dan
14.
Neese up to the outside wall, and they all just stacked up behind him and sent Josh Patterson spinning. I believe Hobbs and Harry Grindle both, but actually that was not the Dominic Howe. That was the 95 Ibrahim Dajani. Just got a bit tight on the bottom and got up into that 14 right here, and Dan into the wall, and he comes down. That just stacks up Harry Grindle, who led off, and Patterson got into the back and went right around. So bit of a stack up there, unfortunately triggered by that 95.
Luckily for Patterson, though, he doesn't have a lot of damage. It's not like he went flipping and careening out of control, as Benjamin likes to say, but that O2 Patterson, he'll have the eligibility of continuing on. gonna take the time to hit pit road and such. And speaking of taking the time, we'll go ahead and drag into the booth one of our people on the iSCAR voice chat as of right now into this
Apparently
booth.
we just had a wreck under caution involving Dan Neese.
Oh,
Well,
you did?
apparently, according to Nick Miller, we had a incident under caution. Oh, there it is.
There it is.
I think we may have had some retaliation. Oh, we definitely did.
Wow.
So Dan Neese got into the back of Dejani as in a bit of retaliation for setting him into the wall, and that unfortunately puts Garrett Hess, who was running in the top 10, around, and he glitch flipped. So that's absolutely nothing wrong by Garrett Hess, and that may have just ended his race. So a bit of retaliation, perhaps gone a bit overboard there for that 14 of Dan Neese.
Started checking up as soon as they caught the pace car. I don't know if Dan was... I honestly don't know if it was intentional or not, but...
I don't know, but... I mean, I kind of figured since Dejani had just gotten him into the wall, I figured it was just retaliation, but...
Yeah, but now by the
on
looks of it,
second
like...
thought, maybe not.
It could have been a checkup as well, because I saw a bunch of drivers in front
maybe
of
both.
Dejani, and yeah, might have been just a retaliation and a mix of coupling with all the drivers checking up and then the speed difference being too large to ignore.
Apparently, Garrett got no damage despite flipping, which is also pretty cool.
Yeah, and we'll go ahead and
So
drag in.
that was a bit of a lucky break for everyone, I guess. Of course, a bit of carelessness there, but if Garrett Hess just glitch flipped like that and got no damage, then he's automatically the luckiest driver of the race so far.
That's right. Unfortunately, because of that wreck, we couldn't have the time to interview a driver. We'll stack him up yet again, 2 by 2. Yeah, that was honestly fairly weird. Hess will continue on in 7th place, like nothing happened, but these street stocks are tanks. They could handle the heat. Big enough heat. About to unravel itself as that number 12, Hunter Johnson, had a bit of heat from that number 55 of Brody Garner, as Garner put himself right alongside that 12. But how about the 56 of Brandon Wilkinson? Going to start on the low side. He's going to use the apron to his advantage to maybe shortcut it. Unfortunately for him, it does not really work out for him. He's going to stop side by side with 55 Garner. Oh, there's a wreck!
Yellow.
Oh, a huge wreck, and that car just came up the track, I believe. Actually, that was a...
Oh, they're wrecking more!
Oh, we have more trouble now. Urick's just
no.
gone to the inside wall and the outside wall. Max Urick's going everywhere. And that was originally a huge wreck avoided, but then more trouble once they got it straight. So there's multi-part incident here right off the restart.
Max has been involved in just about everything. It looks like Mitch Hobbs and 86 of Garrett Hess.
Oh, Kyler Wynn did not get going, or Garrett Hess didn't.
Oh, Hobbs was taking it 3 wide. Hess wasn't expecting that 3 wide.
That was a nice save, but then right up here,
Urick, looks like Dominic. Dominic was on the
and
apron.
Dominic Howe, and that's Jeremiah Bethune in the 50. So they didn't. That was the caution right there. But then Dominic coming off the apron, perhaps did not see Urick coming there, and unfortunately got into him. And I think Garrett Hess may have gotten a little bit of damage as well, and he had just gotten out of that first incident.
Yeah, Max came down, Dominic went up. They were just trying to get slowed down to get themselves situated under caution. So this will give us some time to, drag some people in. But unfortunately, people with more damage, and Urick has been involved with just about every single wreck. How about a person we haven't really spoken to about? That number 79, William Schmidt, has a bit of damage for him. We'll drag him into the booth. William, you got a copy? William, this is the MaxspeedTV booth. Ezekiel, you got a copy?
Oh, hi. Yeah, hi.
What's up, William? I see you sitting in 6th place. A bit of front-end damage. How's your race going right now?
I'm just driving. I don't know how I'm in 6th, but I am.
Okay, but 10-4. Well,
yeah.
It's been hectic out there. You think you can get yourself to the front with how this race is going?
If I can get by Sartaj, yeah. I mean, Lord, it's just been nuts.
All right, bud, 10-4. Well, we'll put some relief on you. You're starting in 6th, going to be on the outside of the restart. You prefer the outside or like the inside better?
I prefer the inside. My car handles a lot better on the bottom.
All right, but 10 for, well, Schmidt, good luck out there. And for these next, looks like 30 laps, and hopefully we can see you in victory lane.
All right, thank you.
Short and sweet there for our 6th place driver here so far tonight. It looks like we'll get the 1 to green coming up. But man, I think once Burgee wrecked, Burgee was the main contender to Hunter Johnson, but I would not count out that 55 of Brody Gardner just yet. And we mentioned Brandon Wilkinson's name multiple times tonight. Once again, back up in that 3rd spot. So I think the 55 and the 56 will definitely try to make some aggressive moves here on this upcoming restart, but it'll be a matter of whether they work or if they'll end up failing and having Hunter retain the lead.
Yeah, Brody Gardner has been utilizing the high line to his advantage. You saw him going to the bottom of Hunter Johnson, really putting a challenge. The first time we've really seen that all night, apart from Joe Berge looking to the bottom. But Brody Gardner has been bold. He's been using that high line very, very efficiently. He's been one of the only drivers to do so. We'll see if he can put a challenge to Hunter Johnson. Green flag is out. Another good start by Hunter Johnson in the 12. Brandon Wilkinson is going to look to the bottom of Brody Gardner. Seems to be the same case every single restart. Hunter Johnson early, everybody scrambling behind him.
Yeah, but
3 wide, baby.
Almost 3 wide. As Wilkinson made the pass barely, so put that 56 up into 2nd place, and have a run on the bottom here on Hunter Johnson.
Hunter goes around.
He turned him. Oh, and there goes Gardner into the wall.
Oh my gosh.
That's the entire top 5.
And McDowell is by. McDowell gets by.
Upside down. Schmidt's in there. That was basically the entire top 10 except for Brandon Wilkinson.
Hunter better be careful to get not a penalty because he was. Oh no, Miller!
Whoa, man! As Brody Gardner still on his roof here, but I think Brandon just sent it into turn number 1 when he wasn't cleared to. You'll see it right here.
You definitely got the nose down. I think same situation to what we saw with...
Brody got neck-coated. Nick Miller, William Schmidt, Dominic Howe. There's Brody going upside down.
To mention, I think it was the same situation with... who were the 2 cars who made contact in the 3? Dominic Howe and Alex K. Gretz.
Look at Sartaj Mon. He just neck-coated through another one on the outside. Check this out. Brody Gardner goes up right there. Somehow hits him and neck-coated right through it again with minimal damage. That 49...
Wow.
He's now up into 2nd place. What a lucky man Sartaj Mon is tonight.
I think Wilkinson might get an EOL. I'm not really sure about it. It depends on what these admins are going to do, but man. People just... Yeah, there he goes. He's going to go to the end with a 1 out of 3.
So that just puts Sartaj up to the lead now.
Yeah, not only that, he's going to get some extra bonus points off of this, so Sartaj could capitalize on Hunter Johnson's mistake, and the man who's sitting 2nd in points, the stars are starting to align itself right. Now number 49. How about that? Wait, hold up. How is the 4 Justin Johnson in 2nd?
Justin Johnson's up to 2nd place now. What? Man, where did he come from? But man, Justin Johnson out of seemingly nowhere, been involved in a couple incidents tonight, and that man is now in 2nd place. Harry Grindle now up to 3rd. Dominic Howe 4th, and Christopher Weil, who's we haven't talked about all night tonight, now up into 5th place. So the entire top 5 just changed just like that as a result of that wreck. But man, that took a lot of contenders out.
We'll go ahead and drag in the number 49 of Sartaj Mon into the booth. He's starting himself up front after he net-coded through that wreck. Sartaj, you got a copy?
Yeah, I got a copy.
Hey, bud, you're sitting up in 1st place after that big wreck. A lot of contenders just wiped out right in front of you, and luckily you made it through. Hopefully you don't hit the 1 to go signal. Nope, looks like 2 to go. Sartaj, you're sitting 1st, bud. What's going through your mind right now?
Don't miss a shift.
Don't miss the shift?
Yeah.
Is it
That's all
really,
I'm worried about right now.
Is it really hard to work yourselves through the gears, especially using the clutch?
I'm new to a clutch. I'm new to the H pattern so far, so I'm trying to get used to it, but I just don't want to choke under pressure.
All right, bud. Well, how are you gonna anticipate this restart with the help of the 4 or the 70 right behind you?
Just go when they don't. Yes.
All right, bud. 10-4. We're gonna let you go back to your team call. Good luck out there for these next 17 laps.
Thanks.
Attempt to drag him in the booth. No. Right? That was for Tajman, and oh boy. Oh my
The
goodness.
entire complexion of this race changed just like that, man. We went from a Hunter Johnson, Brody Gardner, and Brandon Wilkinson top 3 to a Sartaj Mon, Justin Johnson, and Harry Grindle top 3. So at this point in the race, with this few laps to go, anything can happen at this point, as the pace car will slide itself down onto pit road here.
Green flag,
We are
green
back
flag.
underway at Bristol, just 15 laps to go.
Justin got taken 3 wide into turn number 1. Opens up the door for the 70 of Grindle to take 2 for 1. Back to the low side, the 70 of Grindle to
Justin
second.
plate train.
They're still 3 wide right behind.
Yeah, Justin did not get going whatsoever. He's going to lose a lot of spots here. But Sartaj doing a good job as now Justin's in the wall. Watch out out of turn 4. Oh,
Yellow,
and there
yellow,
we go
yellow.
around. Hunter's around again.
Cannot believe he didn't get nailed.
I mean, he was around in the middle of the track with a bunch of cars coming right at him.
I cannot believe it.
That was a lucky break.
Wow, and this is really looking great for Sartaj Mon in the 49 because Hunter Johnson's involved in another incident again. This further bridges the gap, like I mentioned at the top of the broadcast. The gap between Hunter Johnson and Sartaj in the point standings is just 25 points. Right now, while Hunter Johnson struggles with just over 10 laps remaining in this race, and Sartaj in the race lead, this changes everything, and this could potentially be a tight battle going into Charlotte next week. But, you know, we saw Justin Johnson going 3 wide, got sent into the wall, got put into the wall there, and, you know, unfortunately collected Hunter Johnson, a couple other drivers there with him. But that 49 must be a little bit nervous, but it must be looking good for him up front.
And with next race being Charlotte, that too is going to be another game changer. So for Hunter Johnson, his whole season starting to crumble with this one lone race. That number 12 is, I mean, I wouldn't say it's over for him. He's still sitting in 17th. Still 12 laps to go. He could get himself situated as he's going to hit pit road and slap on 4 tires, maybe pick up positions with fresh rubber. But man, for Sartaj Mon, you have to hit your marks and capitalize on the situation of where Hunter Johnson is.
I think Hunter might be regretting not showing up to Eldora just a little bit last week. Of course, there's no guarantee that he would have won that race. Of course, Dylan Alt was absolutely dominant last week. No one was getting by him at all. But I think Hunter may just regret a little bit not showing up and at least getting himself some more points because, of course, you know, taking into consideration that any good driver can have a bad night, just like tonight. He could have walked in here with a little bit...
Bless you.
Oh.
a little more points than... or a bigger points lead than he walked in here with. As that was a very bad time sneeze. Bless me.
Yeah, for the 49 Sartaj, oh man. He's going to have a lot of pressure from people who have yet to visit Victory Lane in a while. Harry Grindle in the number 70 got robbed at Southern National in the late model after he got DQ'd across the wire. The 58 of Dominic Howe it's been a while since he's been in Victory Lane. The 02 of Josh Patterson, he too, it's been a while since he's been in Victory Lane as well. 41 Christopher, well, he's just week to week. Nobody really cares. William Schmidt.
Oh,
No,
no.
I'm just joking on Christopher Weil. I mean, we all love that number 41, but he's obviously a week to week contender. We see him basically in Victory Lane every month. For the 79 William Schmidt, however, I don't know when the last time been in Victory Lane. I think it was, no, I lied.
Of course, I think Harry Grindle, who's starting in second, I think his lone iSCAR win, I want to say was in the super late models. I forget which
Southern
track it was. Yeah, Southern National. So Harry was really good in the super late model series, was running up towards the front almost every race we ran. So Harry's actually a pretty good short track racer here. So we'll have to see what he can possibly do here on this upcoming restart. But again, we would talk about not counting out guys in third. definitely don't count out that 58 of Dominic Howell because he's really hungry for a win too.
And that's call the restart.
All right, here we go.
Green flag, green
Sartov
flag.
now with an early start. He's going to jump the rest of the field. Harry Grindle to the outside. You mentioned Dewey. Dominic Howell, who lost the race at Eldora last week, hungry for a win. I believe we have contact in the back, but no yellow so far. As early start, we got a car around.
Now.
Yeah.
That's to the 28 of Nick Miller, so the problems continue for him after he got himself up in the top 5. And he ends up in the outside wall here with just 7 laps to go. And it looks like that's contact with the 80 of James Youngman and nowhere to go for that 084 at Kyler Wynn.
Oh man, what were they doing in
Yeah,
the one?
they were 3 wide there, and there goes the 28 of Nick Miller up into the outside wall, collects the 034.
You're almost 4
And
wide.
yeah, there are lots of contact there. And Hunter Johnson's in the mix in there as well.
Yeah, Hunter barely missed that one. Fortunately for him, that I think somebody definitely either missed a shift or just did not go on that start. It looks like Wilkinson shot the gap, made it 3 wide across the line, and that just stacked everybody up. They were almost 4 wide there into turn 1. There was just not enough room for all those guys to fit, and Nick Miller, the worst of that, along with Kyler Wynn. But that's going to put us back green with probably either 3 or 4 laps to go. So time definitely on Sartaj Man's side here, as with only that few laps to go, the opportunities to be able to pass that 49 are now very limited here.
Yeah, it is. And Dominic Howell now will start in second. And really, we haven't seen anybody utilize that high line apart from Brody Garner, who's now pretty much out of this running after being involved in that incident with a bunch of other drivers there. But, you know, I think there's only been a couple of drivers that I've seen that have really been able to, off the restart, get all the way to the bottom without getting pounced on by the rest of the guys behind. And I know, of course, it really relies on how good you do on the throttle. Of course, shifting is a talking point as well. Like Sartaj said in that interview under yellow, saying he hopes he doesn't miss a shift, because if you do, it really stacks up the guys behind you and could really make for anyone behind you and anyone on the outside to get a run on you and take the race lead away, or really any position for a matter of fact. As you see, Hunter Johnson all the way back there has a little work to do to get back here, but he's got little time to do it. We're approaching the final laps of this race. Hunter Johnson currently in 12th. Not sure if that's going to be a big blow to the point seed that he currently has, but if Sartaj stays up front and he ends up taking a checkered flag, this could be tight going into Charlotte next week. Again, Charlotte next week on MaxspeedTV Wednesday night. Of course, you'll find it right here on MaxspeedTV, 9 p.m. Eastern. Gonna crown a champion at Charlotte, and Charlotte's always a lot of fun with the draft and lots of people in the field. So that's gonna be a whole different situation in its own self. But we still got racing to do here. Just about 4 laps left to go with Sartaj Man up front, Dominic Howell, Harry Grindle, who could get a good position out of this one, if he can make some passes along the way. 2 positions more, he'll be up in the front. And then, of course, the rest of the guys, Christopher Weil, we got Josh Patterson, Mitch Hobbs, William Schmidt, Michael Bianchini, Joshua Bethune, and Justin Johnson in the top 10. We're ready to go green. I'm excited to see how this rolls.
Yeah, so there's going to be a 2 to go restart here. So Sartaj, if he really times this restart out, might just run away with this race. And as long as they stay clean in the back, and you just mentioned it, this is a really good opportunity for Sartaj to make up some ground. Because, of course, Charlotte next week is probably going to be our biggest field of the season, if I had to guess. Because Charlotte, of course, is a free track, and these are free cars. So a lot of people are going to show up, and a lot of points may be on the line next week. So Sartaj definitely wants to make the most of tonight going into that race. And we are back underway here at Bristol. Just 2 more laps to go here at the world's fastest half mile.
Dominic will try to attempt a slot in line. Harry fills the gap and will move himself into second. Up front, Sartaj by himself. We'll see if Harry can drive it in deep into 3, but he's slowly starting to fade away. Harry's going to put the bumper to the 49. There's a wreck in the back.
Yellow.
Crash. Mitch Hobbs upside down, coming to the white flag. And the caution came out. They did not make it to the line. And Mitch Hobbs' race just ended like that. He went flipping all over the place.
Oh my goodness. Mitch Hobbs up and over. He's going to stay on his roof unless he can get someone to flip him around. Doesn't look to be the case. Of course not with the leaders, but oh my goodness. Sartaj was so close to that white flag there right at the line when the yellow came out. And now that sets us up into a green-white checkered restart for the end of this race. We'll take a replay. Here is Mitch Hobbs. There's Michael Bianchini in the mix. I believe here's where the trouble started, and there it is. Loose race car overcorrects on the wall, and then Bianchini gets into an incident in front of them.
Yeah, there were 3 or 4 cars that got into that in the front. You see, I think Mitch just overcorrected on his own. I think Bianchini got neck-coated there with Justin Johnson.
Oh.
Jeremiah Bethune goes upside down as well and gets clobbered by Kyler Wynn. So that's 2 flips under the same caution. Dylan Basin also with a lot of damage as well. And one of the car, I think, just got disqualified because he disappeared right off the screen. Hunter Johnson, though, he missed another one. Yeah, I think that black car got disqualified. That might have been
Kyler Wynn, or maybe
Yeah.
Garrett Hess, because I see. Yeah, it looks like well, Kyler has 18 incidents, but Garrett Hess has 24. So with Hess,
yeah,
that's a DQ for him. But I think Kyler got a penalty for hitting 17 limit.
It's a tough break for
disconnected.
Yeah, it's a tough break for Garrett because, of course, if that wreck under caution did not happen, he wouldn't have had a couple of those incident points, so he probably would have still been out on the racetrack had that not occurred. So, unfortunately, a really tough break for that 86, who actually ran a decent chunk of the race in the top 10, but this gives Harry Grindle one more chance to try and make that move for the win. We saw him with a big run out of turn 4 right on the back bumper of Sartaj when the caution came out. So I think Harry definitely has the speed to make it happen, but can he make it happen is the question.
Oh man, I think
course.
Sartaj is in a great place right now. That second car in line, that second place car of Harry Grindle, you saw it with Dominic Howe that last restart. You cannot go on that top side unless you roll into the restart, and hopefully Sartaj goes when you're ready going. Get yourself side by side, but there's a turn radius on the bottom, of course, is smaller. Hence why Sartaj can pull, especially on restarts when you're just getting up to speed. So for that number 49 of Sartaj, this might be a win, but unless that 58 of Dominic Howe could clear that number 70 off of turn number 2, that's probably going to be the catalyst on how this race will turn out if Sartaj is clear off of turn number 2.
Yeah, we'll be able to try it one more time here as the pace car will go down pit road. We are back underway here for green-white checker number 1. Sartaj hits it really early, and we're back underway. And with that jump on the restart, that might have just given him the race win.
All right, now
we're just gonna set.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Oh no, whoa! I was gonna say that everyone was
doesn't matter now
and
because
we'll
the caution's out.
All right, caution's out. I
is.
was gonna mention that, but oh boy.
Well, let's see what happened this time. Looks like Jeremiah Bethune may have been the catalyst there, but Justin Johnson also slow may have been him instead. We'll see here. I think Hunter may have gotten to the back of him. See, I think there was more trouble up front as well. I think Wilkinson got into Hunter. There was definitely more ahead of this. Right there, Justin got hooked by Hunter, and there. Oh yeah, Schmidt and Wilkinson both go around into turn 3. So that's the 3rd wreck in a row that Hunter Johnson's come mere feet of becoming involved in. So even though he wasn't actually, this car upside down on the apron right there. I don't know who that was. We just totally missed that. Somebody went upside down on the up against the inside wall right there. Who is that?
Hess?
Oh, Matthew Klein got plowed into by, I think that might have been Basin or Patterson. One of the rainbow cars right there. Man, that might have been Basin. He probably did the glitch flip. Oh yeah, he did. So that went from like a 2-car wreck to like a 6-car wreck in the matter of 50 or so feet. And for Dylan Basin, that concludes his night. He was already multiple laps down, but unfortunately a DNF for him now. But that's at least for the 3rd or 4th car that's done that glitch flip. So that's probably something that might need to be patched in a upcoming build or something, but there's been a lot of that here tonight and this season.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, we've had a lot of incidents within this entire season. I mean, when you go to pretty much full throttle tracks where draft is so important, where drivers are so close to each other. And considering the amount of large fields we've had over this season, I mean, you can't go without talking about any sort of chaos or any sort of wreckage within these guys going 3-4 wide like we saw there. Other drivers maybe getting loose, maybe, and being so close to other cars that when you make a mistake, there's always a person there around you, whether behind you, on the outside, and the inside. There's always someone around there with the close proximity to these cars really have. And when you get into an incident, when you make one mistake, either somebody can pounce on you, maybe make contact, or maybe you can get into some trouble by yourself. And that's really the product of what we've seen so far. But we're reaching another attempt on a green-white checkered now. Sartaj must be nervous in that race car because I know that he's had some pressure from Dominic Howell and Harry Grindle. And like we saw in that first attempt, Harry Grindle is not afraid to use the bumper. He almost put the bumper to the 49 a little bit there. So I think the 70 is going to try to do so. Is going to try hard to get that win, even if it means moving the 49 out of the way and giving him a little bump. I thought Dominic Howell might have had that shot, but he didn't. We're just going to see how this pretty much works out, and if we get another caution after this one.
Yeah, I think the other big concern for Sartaj is if that back half of the field can just stay green for one lap. Of course, this is the second green-white checkered. We had the regulation restart with 2 to go. As you see Brody Gardner with smoke coming out of the back of his car. But we had the caution on the regulation restart and then the caution on the green-white checkered. And both times, Sartaj had a pretty sizable lead right off the restart. But unfortunately, those guys towards the back wrecked him up again. So now the question is not only can Sartaj hold off second and third place, but can those guys in the back stay green long enough for us to actually finish this time? Will we need green-white checkered attempt to number 3? Let's find out. 2 laps to go here at Bristol.
Man, Dominic did a great job of filling that gap, and he's going to put the bumper to that number 79. He might make it back-to-back at Bristol. Top 3 are all single file. Sartaj washes up the racetrack, might open up the door for the 58, but there's still... Oh, Harry puts the bumper to the 58. That might have gave Sartaj the win right there. Who knows?
White flag. They made it to the line, so this is it right here. Sartaj out of turn 2, still with the lead. Harry and Dominic battling for second place. And coming out of turn number 4, Sartaj Maan, there's contact for second place. They're going to crash coming to the line, but Sartaj Maan is your winner here at Bristol, and the whole field piled in.
Dominic Howell finishes in 5th, and Josh Patterson out of nowhere, 2nd.
Wow.
How did he get second place?
And Wilkinson 3rd as well.
Hunter Johnson fell back to 10th because of that, so Hunter just lost some valuable points, but a huge congratulations to the 49 of Sartaj Maan. I'm not sure how long it's been since he last won here in iSCAR.
This is his first.
It might be his first, but that's got to feel good either way, because not only did he get his first career win here in iSCAR, he definitely closed that points gap between himself and Hunter Johnson going into next week's finale.
Yeah, that's right. For that number 49, this is the first time he's going to be in victory lane ever in iSCAR. Yet again, we're starting to see a trend of Evo SimSport cars just slurking themselves into victory lane. We saw with Ann McDowell in the number 20. Here we are again, the number 49 of Sartaj going to victory lane here tonight. A huge victory for him.
Nice
And
job.
a statement win to maybe take the points to close up that gap for that points lead for Hunter Johnson. So we'll take a look at
look at what happened there with coming to the finish line, because that took like pretty much the whole field out behind Sartaj. There was contact between Dominic and Harry out of turn 4 coming to the checkered flag, and
it looked comedic coming to the line because they were wrecking for second place, but watch this battle right behind. Harry put the bumper to the 58 and all hell broke loose. Watch this.
Yeah, Harry gets into it right here, and Sartaj takes the win. That is all pile in here. And somehow Patterson escaped out with second place, and there you see William Schmidt goes upside down and tumbles through the air, and pretty much everybody who hadn't been in a wreck so far tonight ends up in that one. But yeah, Patterson escaped on the bottom and clipped across the line for second, and everybody piled into that one.
Oh my gosh.
And Wilkinson, you saw him all the way to the bottom of the racetrack, right up against that inside wall, had to scoot between all of those guys there and get around all of them. He finishes 3rd tonight. Wow, what a finish there. We're going to look at the results on your screen. after pretty much a couple of green-white checkered restarts and the finish of this race. A winner, an Evo SimSport SPG driver, Sartaj Mal with a win in the 49. That'll really help him in the point standings against Hunter Johnson. Josh Patterson pretty much spins across the line second. Everybody on third on back, pretty much almost flipping and going around to the start-finish line. Brandon Wilkinson, in his first start this season, finishes third. Christopher Weil finishes fourth. Dominic Howell into the top 5 after making contact with Harry Grindle in the final corner there. Harry Grindle, which I just mentioned, finishes 6th. Nick Miller rallies back to 7th place. Ibrahim Dajani finishes 8th. Hunter Johnson finishes 9th. And not a good point stay. It looked like he was going to take the win early in this race. Fell all the way back to the pretty much the latter half of the top 10. And rounding out this top 10, the number 80 of James Youngerman.
Yeah, quite good top 10 for that 80 car, but Hunter was farther back, so definitely did rally a bit. 11th through 20th place, William Schmidt, the last car on the lead lap, in 11th place. Dan Neese ends up with 12th. Matthew Klein with a pretty solid finish in 13th. Max Urich 14th. Justin Johnson rounds out your top 15. Brody Gardner in 16th. Michael Bianchini, not a good points day for him at all. That might eliminate him depending on how many people show up next week. Jeremiah Bethune in 18th. Kyler Wynn 19th. And Garrett Hess rounds out your top 20.
Rest of the order is going to be shown on your screen as Mitch Hobbs, after that big hit into the outside wall, will sit himself in 21st. Dylan Basin, DNF after flipping as well in 22nd. Joe Berge, he too flipped over. Number 83 will be in 23rd. Charlie Byer, 24th. 25th going to be Kevin White Jr. Alex K. Gretz in 26th. Peter Kenny, 27th. And McDowell, 28th. Nick Roten rounding out the rest of the order here for tonight's what was a scheduled 94-lap event has turned into a 106-lap event due to green-white checkers. We're going to scoot ourselves to the side and go ahead and drag in the top 3 for interviews. That'll be Sartaj Mal and Josh Patterson and Brandon Wilkinson. We'll be right back right after this.
North Carolina, where the field is rolling out for the start of today's 400-lap race on this 0.625-mile racetrack. Here's the starting lineup. On the pole from Dawsonville, Georgia, in the number 9 Coors Ford qualifying and Winston Cup race from North Wilkesboro is underway. Everybody nicely through turns number 1 and 2 as Bill Elliott has the lead and Dale Earnhardt has jumped into 2nd position, followed by Benny Parsons and Bobby Allison.
His second win of 1987.
We welcome here back for tonight's post-race event for the iSCAR KBRN Street Stock Tour. Before we get situated with interviews, I want to thank you all for tuning in for tonight's live stream here at Bristol Motor Speedway, presented by KBRN. Kenneth, go ahead. That's a free plug right here. Talk about KBRN.
Well, K1 Racing Network is a little iRacing broadcasting service that we started just a couple months ago, and we've been able to pick it up very quickly. We've picked up a couple series. We have currently broadcasting the LWRC NASCAR Cup Series, along with the iRacing Bunge and Lawn Care Series, which is just approaching their playoffs next Monday. So that'll be a lot of fun, and if you want to tune in, of course, subscribe, search up K1 Space Racing Space Network on YouTube. We do a lot of things over there in the network. We try to do our best to put out the best broadcasting that we can. And pretty much that's about it. Just go to youtube.com/K1 Racing Network.
All right, we'll go ahead and get ourselves situated with interviews here for tonight. Currently, there he is, the winner into the booth goes to number 79 of Sertaj Mon, and all I had to do is make it through that wreck. And Sertaj, we were talking mid-race about how you made it with yourself through those restarts, and man, this time you didn't choke it away. Congratulations, dude. Your first ever iSCAR win of your career. How does it feel, man?
It feels amazing, and I feel relieved. Finally got that win that I've been needing for so long.
That's right, man. You've come up short so many times here at iSCAR. I don't know how long you've been in this league, probably a year or so, but man, for you be in victory lane after all that time, it has to feel really good, and to beat out one of the best in the business. Obviously, a huge statement win, as well as you close up that gap between yourself and Hunter for that championship points lead coming into Charlotte. So just talk to me and give me a rundown of how your race went.
Well, I mean, going into this race, I really wasn't expecting much. I was just hoping for a good points finish to, just keep myself away from third and fourth. But early on in the race, I was just running like mid to top 10, like fifth, sixth, seventh, around that area. Then Rex came and went. Just it all ended up working in my favor as that one big wreck. I think I may have neck coated through someone, and eventually that gave me the lead. So yeah, and then after that, it was just getting the restarts perfect and just pulling away.
That's right, man. Once you got the lead, you never looked back, and you led 31 laps out of the scheduled 106 here for tonight. Man, it has to feel good, but especially going into Charlotte, knowing that gap, knowing that championship is still up for grabs. So what are you looking forward to coming down to the finale?
Well, I'm not expecting much. I'm not expecting to win the championship, as Hunter's just really good in the street stocks, but I hope to close in the gap a little bit, or may even pull off a shock or something and win it. But we'll see. We'll see what happens.
All right, about 10 for Sertaj Mon rounds himself out in victory lane here tonight at Bristol. Well, bud, congratulations. But before we let you go, any sponsor you want to thank you for tonight's race?
Yeah, I would just like to thank my team, SPG Esports.
All right, bud, 10 for Sertaj Mon rounds himself out in first after starting in sixth. Go ahead and see you coming to your next race, bud.
All right.
Mon in the number 49. Don't know who wants to take second place. Josh Patterson.
Well, I got him, I guess.
All right, go ahead and take Josh Patterson.
All right, Josh, got a copy?
Hey, man, I got you.
So you were around like 5th or 6th or something like that, coming out of turn 4, coming to the checkered flag, and you somehow end up in second place. What did you see out of your windshield in that last lap, wreck?
Well, on the restart, actually, the last couple of restarts, me and Christopher were both trading spots every single restart. And I was trying to get to 5th because the inside lane was preferred on pretty much every restart. And I got lucky. I got to 5th, or I guess he got around me. And I ended up being at 4th coming into the final corner. And I knew that they were going hard. I was hoping that they would maybe, get into each other, which is what eventually did happen. And I think it was Hal get sideways. I just sent it as low as I could. Thought I got around it and then got tagged coming to the line, but that just makes it even cooler looking. So going across sideways in second place, I know this was definitely one I didn't deserve. I was happy just being in the top 5, and to bring out a second place is more than I really could have hoped for here. I just wasn't as fast as I could have been today, and felt like I could have been a lot better, but second place is just amazing compared to what I was thinking I was going to do.
Yeah, definitely style points nonetheless for how you came across the line. Of course, the finale for the series next week at Charlotte. So I guess I'll ask this way: what are you looking forward to Charlotte? And if you are, is there anything in particular you're looking forward to?
Unfortunately, I probably won't be able to race next week just because my attendance in this series completely relies on if my real life racing gets canceled or not, because I race dirt slingshots every Wednesday night. So I can't make the series a lot of the time. Luckily enough, tonight it was canceled for rain, so I was able to show up here and have some fun with it. But I hope everyone else has a good time at Charlotte, and I hope it's a good race for you guys to watch.
Well, definitely wish you the best of luck. I did not know you raced in real life, so good luck on that next week if it does happen. But hey, before I let you go tonight, any sponsors do you want to thank here?
I got to thank Nova Sim Racing, everyone on the team as per usual, which was Dylan and Michael Bianchini coming into tonight's race. They always help me out and provide some really good team chatter. I got to thank NTN, Endurance Distributions, Belfour Property Restorations, and I got to thank you guys for broadcasting, Zeke for running the whole thing, and everyone on track for giving me a great race.
All right, Josh Patterson, you're a runner-up here tonight at Bristol. And if you can't make it next week, again, all the best in your real-life event.
Yeah, thanks, Dewey.
Josh Patterson in the O2 rounds himself out in second after starting himself all the way back in 26th spot. And that'll do it here for tonight. But before we round out this broadcast, what you think of tonight? We'll go ahead and start it off with you, Dewey.
Well, it was definitely interesting. Of course, we didn't get Wilkinson in the booth, which is a bit unfortunate. But, he's, of course, a great racer here and proved it tonight. Of course, he had multiple issues, but rallied to get himself up to third. But overall, it was, it was kind of what I expected. Of course, the street stocks are usually the haha big funny series here, but there was some pretty good racing overall. And even though we did have a couple green-white checkers, that finish was pretty cool to watch.
Yeah, it was pretty much what I expected. I remember thinking about Dover, kind of comparing it to this track, and from what I saw at Dover and what I saw here, I think we can make a really good comparison between those two races. Pretty much dominant line being the most dominant, maybe some drivers using the high line, but not quite as effective. Maybe one or two drivers like we saw with Brody Garner there, and pretty much early yellows and pretty much quick yellows pretty much plagued this race and really didn't allow for longer runs that we saw. And of course, you spread out all the way to the green-white checkered. So that shows the amount of contact, the amount of crashing we had here tonight. And that pretty much is a fair comparison to what we saw at Dover. So I think tonight was a chaotic filled one, concerning the fact that it was Bristol. And it's kind of justified considering that Bristol is one of the more chaotic tracks, especially since it's so small. But next week at Charlotte, that's really where the focal point is, considering with this championship, Hunter Johnson, Sartaj Mound, who took the win tonight, and how that's really going to work, especially if we see a larger field going into that race.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And you mentioned about Bristol. You have to add another variable, of course, with street stocks, slower speeds, just more hectic racing, tankier bodies. These cars could race like it's no tomorrow, and they could fling them into the corner without anything happening to it. And all those variables just mix themselves up to a chaotic event here for tonight, and resulted for not only at number 49 coming out in victory lane, a first-time winner here at Bristol. Honestly, been a while since we've seen that. The last time I remember a first-time winner here at this track was, honestly, I think Dominic Howe. I mean, not Dominic Howe, but Dylan Alt in that number 42 went to victory lane for the first time at this very track. So, yet again, repeating history. Sartaj Mon might be following with that with Alt's path.
Yeah, and of course, Dylan was the defending winner of the Street Stocks, won last week at Eldora. So that'll do it here for us. Thank you very much for tuning in here tonight at Bristol. And speaking of the world's fastest half mile, we'll be right back here tomorrow night for the modified tour, which I believe will have around 110 laps, I want to say. We're not sure if that'll be broadcasted quite yet, but if it is, make sure to tune in for that, because if you thought the racing was good tonight, it'll definitely be good tomorrow night as well.